body mass index, also known as BMI, and also known as Quintilate index. So what is BMI? BMI is basically a measurement, is basically a measured value in which for the person their height and weight is measured. So the height and weight is measured for the purpose to determine that either that person is having a appropriate weight according to their height. So BMI is also defined as that it is the ratio of the mass and height for a person. So BMI is defined as the mass divided by the square of the height. So BMI formula will be according to their definition that it will be the kg per meter square. So it is usually expressed as the weight is expressed in kilograms, and the height is and height will be determined or will be measured in meters. So the weight in kilograms will divided by the height in meter square. So this is basically the BMI. So this is how you can detect the BMI. So BMI is basically the ratio of the person of their weight into height. So the ratio of the weight into height. So BMI basically detects that the person having the specific height, how much weight that person must be having to for the normal life and for the healthy and normal living. So there is the categorization of the BMI. So this is how we have seen that how you can detect the BMI. That the BMI is basically simply you will detect the height for the person, and the weight of the person is simply the ratio of the height in weight into the height. So weight in kg and the height will be measured in meter square. So weight divided by the height. So for the persons you want to take the BMI, you will measure their height and you will measure their weight and then determine the BMI. So BMI are classified into different categories according to their different values. As we say that BMI is the value, is the measured value that you get after measuring the person's weight and height. So different categories of the BMI, that BMI after calculating the BMI of the person, that after calculating the weight and height of the person, you will detect the person falls in which category of the BMI. So there are basically the four categories of the BMI. It's the underweight, normal weight, overweight, and obese. Depends on the value, depends on the measurement of the BMI. So which measurements of BMI usually are categorized, that the value from the 18.54 to the 19 kg per meter square is categorized for the normal weight. Below this normal weight, this is the ideal weight, that if the for the normal person, for the normal healthy living person, the category of the BMI, the value of the BMI, or you can say the measurement of the BMI should fall in this category, should come into the normal weight category, that for the normal healthy living, the person must be having the BMI between the 19 to 25, or you can say 19 to 24 kg per meter square. It must fall in this category. Below this category, if the BMI comes below this value, below this measurement, then the person will be categorized as underweight. Then that person will be in the underweight category. And if the BMI of the person comes above the 24 or 25 kg per meter square, like from the 25 to the 30, if the value comes between these measurements, then that person will be categorized as overweight. And if the BMI value exceeds the 30, if the person is having the more than 30 BMI, then more than 30 is categorized as obese. So obese is more than the 30 kg per meter square. So this obesity for the BMI, that obesity when it is more than 30, then it will be categorized as obese. But there is further for the obesity as more than 30, it can reach up to 40 and up to 50, then that will be also called as obese. But obese are then further categorized into different classes. So obesity has different classes according to the BMI, according to the values and the measurement of the BMI. So there are obesity is more than the person having the for the obese person having the BMI more than 30. And there are different classification. There are different classes for the obesity. That there is class 1 obesity, class 2 obesity, and class 3 obesity. So class 1 obesity, class 2 obesity, and class 3 obesity, they are basically categorized on the basis of the measured value of the BMI. If the BMI is between the 30 to 35, then that obesity will be the class 1 obesity. If the BMI ranges from the 35 to 39, then it will be class 2 obesity. And if the BMI exceeds more than 40, then it will be class 3 obesity. So basically, this BMI ranges tells about the person's health. That the BMI category must fall into the normal range. That the normal weight, this is the ideal weight every person must be having. The health for the healthy lifestyle, for the healthy life living, the BMI must fall into this normal weight category. Then this underweight and overweight and obese, there will be the high risk of diseases, different diseases. So obesity classification are basically on the basis of the BMI ranges, and also these classes are indicates the severity of diseases. That class 1 is less severe, then class 2 is more severe, causes more severe diseases, and class 3 is highly morbid. That there are a lot of diseases occurs in this class 3, and sometimes even death also occurs because of many diseases. If the BMI exceeds more than 40, and the persons will suffer from cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, then it may, even if it prolongs and it cannot be treated, then it may even lead to the serious complications for the person. Okay, so these are the normal, so these are the BMI for the person, as BMI indicates the body mass index, that according to the specific height, how much weight that person must be having, that it must fall into the normal category. As you can see in this, that the height is the same, but the weight increases when there is a variation in the weight. But for the specific height, if the weight increases, then BMI also increases. As this is for the obese, the person is just having the same height, but um, this person is having the more weight. So when the weight increases, the ratio to from the weight to the height is also gets disturbed, and then you get the more BMI. So as BMI having the different categories, so different categories, for the different categories of BMI, you can estimate that the person for the specific height is having the how much weight is required for the person having the specific height by detecting the BMI. So when the person is having the 19 to 24 BMI range, then that will be the ideal weight, and the person will be normal. And if the category of the BMI, if the BMI value falls below this 18, then that person will be the underweight. It means that that person must follow the procedures to maintain their weight. So in this case, if the person is underweight, the person is highly susceptible for the different diseases. So the risk of illnesses will be increased. If the person is having the BMI more than 24, or you can say 25, then that person, it means that is having the more weight according to their height. So for that person, the risk of illnesses will also be increased. That person, if is continuously is overweight for a prolonged period, if that person is overweight, then there may be the chances of the different diseases. And if the person BMI is the BMI range is more than 30, then it comes into the category of obesity. And obesity are then classified into class 1, class 2, and class 3. Then that will be the risk of illnesses for the class 1 will be high, and for the class 2 will be highly morbid, and for class 3 it will be extremely high. And if the BMI exceeds the 50, then that person will be super obese, and the risk of illnesses and the disease will be the extremely high. That person will be having the higher risk of having the diabetes, having the higher risk of heart diseases, hypertension, and so on. So this was just an overview about the BMI. In the next lecture, we will you will learn about the how you can calculate the BMI manually, and also by using the calculators.